can't believe she stands before you doing this morning.
You were relentless. You stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed until he was dead.
Living together in Jackson, Michigan were Camia Gamet, 31, and Marcel Hill, 38. They were quite the unusual couple, thanks to their contrasting and completely opposite personalities. Marcel was known for his friendly, almost childlike demeanor. He had a job at a fast food restaurant and had completed high school. He faced some challenges, including mental health issues, cognitive difficulties, and physical disabilities. Camia wasn't dealing with any disabilities, but she had a reputation for being into drugs and had a pretty aggressive personality. Her childhood was rough, bouncing around through 13 different foster homes. She even got arrested for domestic violence after hitting an ex-boyfriend. It's kind of surprising that she ended up with Marcel, who was way more easygoing than she was. Camia and Marcel had a pretty rocky relationship because their personalities clashed so much. Camia would frequently pick on Marcel. There was an incident where she stabbed him and then took care of the wound herself by stitching it up. Marcel didn't report it to anyone. Then there was another time when Camia assaulted him and punctured his lung, but he still didn't go to the authorities. In a third case, she hit him in the head with a hammer. The authorities charged her with assault and domestic violence, but the case was dismissed because Marcel wouldn't press charges. This would ultimately lead to some really bad outcomes for him. On May 18, 2013, Camia killed Marcel during a heated argument. A neighbor dialed 911 after hearing the commotion coming from their house. When the cops showed up, they discovered the place was a total mess. The scene was pretty brutal. Furniture was smashed up, a floor lamp was in pieces, and there was a bloody knife along with a frying pan that had blood on it. Officers came across Camia, who was soaked in Marcel's blood and slurring her words. As for Marcel, he had been beaten and stabbed to death, with 11 stab wounds and a deep cut in his torso. The strange part? Camia didn't have any injuries at all. Camia got arrested right there at the scene and was charged with open murder shortly after. With open murder, it's up to the judge or jury to decide what level of murder she's actually facing. According to Camia, she took Marcel's life in self-defense, thinking he was an intruder or a threat. She was asleep when the sound of glass shattering jolted her awake. The house was completely dark, so she picked up a floor lamp and started swinging it at the intruder. In the midst of the confusion, she found a knife and used it until he went down. It was only after she switched on the lights that she discovered she had killed Marcel, prompting her to call 911. The prosecutor effectively unraveled Camia's self-defense story. First off, she should have been able to identify Marcel because he was calling for her and crying out for help while getting stabbed 11 times. Instead, Camia said she didn't recognize his voice. Additionally, even though Marcel had 11 stab wounds, Camia claimed she only struck him 3 times.
We have no choice but to send her where she will also die. I can't believe she stands before you doing this morning.
Camia accused Marcel of having a drug problem and getting violent when he was drunk. But the prosecutors weren't buying it, considering Camia had been arrested for domestic violence several times prior to the murder. During the court proceedings, Camia seemed completely unbothered by Marcel's death. As Marcel's family shared a heartfelt letter with her, she couldn't help but roll her eyes and chuckle. Finally, the jury convicted Camia of first-degree murder, and she was handed a life sentence with no parole option. The judge noted that it was among the most heinous cold-blooded murders he had ever seen.
You were relentless. You stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed until he was dead.